fellow Americans. Welcome to Fireside Chats, State of Our Nation. I am your host, Susanna Tanner, candidate for president, 2028. So, we've had some recent developments on Medicare and Medicaid, the government-funded programs in each state. We're going to talk about that today. It's pretty important because there are millions of Americans who are on the government-funded programs, the state, and they're usually funded through the state. So, there's been a bill that's been passed that cuts into Medicaid and starts to require work, at least part-time. I think that they were trying to implement 20 hours, something like that. I'll have to double check. They are reducing some of what Medicaid already pays for, or the programs already pay for. So there's going to be a lot of people who are affected, especially kids and adults. We're not going to know the full scope of how it's going to affect everyone until it starts to really take place. I'm not sure exactly how long that's going to, how long it's going to take for that to happen. My guess is we're going to start seeing it pretty quickly, especially with things that could be necessary for a person to survive, like a surgery or something of that nature. We're going to see a lot happen here pretty soon with that. So, here is how the payment system for my national health care proposal works. An individual in the system that pays into the national health care system would opt in on their W-2 form when they start a new job, or even when they're filing taxes at the end of the year. Even if there's a independent contractor or business owners, there's going to be different ways for that to be implemented. It's basically the Medicare tax that we already pay. When we get our pay stubs, we see it on our pay stubs. It's going to be modified. That particular tax is going to be modified and set up so that the healthcare system that we put together is paid for. And what I propose for the payment system in this is having the regular payment come out of a weekly paycheck, regular taxes that are filed, as well as at the end of the year, if someone has not paid in at least $200, then they could have we could take $200 out of a tax return, up to $200 out of a tax return. That is a contribution tax. It's the contribution tax helps to cover all of us. It's contributing to the national health care system. It ensures that everyone gets health care coverage so that we don't have a sick America, so that we don't have an unhealthy America. The private doctors and such would be able to participate in this as well. Doctors, there are private doctors around that take patients on a payment system of some kind. It could be a sliding scale. It could be a membership type payment. If those clinics or the doctors decided to opt in as well, their clinic would be able to receive payment from the national healthcare system for patients that were opted into the system. That way, somebody somewhere is getting their money. That way, our health care is covered. We've got extra things that can go along with that, including prescriptions and testing and all that. And it just, all of us pay into it, so it all gets paid for one way or another. And since we're all contributing to it in this way, there's no reason why we can't have a payment system for people who are not paying out of pocket. Instead, they're paying through the tax system, through the contribution tax. So when you file your taxes, you keep receipts and stuff for all of this. So it would be allocated in your tax return. And that's making sure that a person has paid at least that $200. And if there's an overpayment, there's a couple of options there. You can opt to keep your overpayment in the health care system to make sure that funding is always available, even if it's a small amount. Small amounts help. There's also the ability to get a cash refund on the excess. And that would be part of your income tax return. You could also split it between the two, depending on how you wanted to keep things going. This is something that I think could work for everyone. And now that's going to lead me to our local government here in Washington State. Governor Ferguson has addressed these Medicare cuts. However, he has also signed into law a very large tax increase for Washingtonians. It's going to make things very unaffordable very quickly. Unfortunately, Washingtonians are very angry at Bob Ferguson right now. And I've been keeping track of what he has been signing into law. Most of it I can agree with, such as requiring gun permits and requiring drivers under the age of 21 to have some sort of education in driver's ed, in driving, through there's driver's courses that were offered in the bill that I read, and I think they're appropriate to ensure the safety of not just young drivers, but pedestrians and other drivers who are on the road, public transportation, and making sure that we have energy efficiency. There's a lot of things that I've noticed that can be applied to the national level as well. And I think that especially the things that I just mentioned can be applied to keep all of us safe. And we've seen a lot of accidents in major cities and such, and it's because these things, these education requirements are not met at this time. So there are some things I can agree with. Raising taxes to pay for things like a raise for Congress members, I have to be against that. To me, at this time, as a citizen of Washington, Congress members have not shown that they are worth a raise. There are too many things that have been arguably handled in ways that Washingtonians would not appreciate. And unfortunately, it causes a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of anger, and what I believe is happening as well, in addition to all of the legislation and all of the backlash that's happening, is that the people are not they're not really feeling like they're being listened to. And a lot of it has to do with when bills like these are passed. Such bills that raise taxes by billions of dollars really takes a toll on those who are already struggling. So my question for our governor is, how does this tax bill, how does this tax raising, how does it help our community? What is it exactly funding besides congressional raises? And from what I understand, these raises are they are the equivalent of around $1 billion or something like that. And that's a lot for congressional raises. When we the people do not feel like they are doing their job to the best of their ability, we're not going to approve that. We're going to be angry about that. Right now, we seem to be even more unstable than we were previously due to these tax hikes, and it's an immediate stressor. And I'm seeing a lot of comments on different social media that really express how Washingtonians are feeling. I've seen comments on Newsbreak, one of the sort of one-stop places that I get news from. I see comments like, when our governor campaigned on keeping taxes low for Washingtonians, as things were already unaffordable, so it's a blatant lie for him to sign this legislation into law. At some point, there has to be some more transparency, because we're not all of us are familiar with what all of these taxes are covering. And if you polled the people right now, I can tell you that they would definitely not approve raises for Congress or any member of our government right now. It takes too much away from the people. And that money could easily be used elsewhere. The other point is, why did they have to raise the taxes so high? Now, as I understand it, when Jay Inslee left office, we were in a budget deficit. So basically, we don't have enough to operate without extra funding. My question is, why? What exactly has any investigation revealed about it? Has there even been an investigation? It is really important to understand, for us who live here, what is happening in our government. And there's not as much transparency as we would like about it. At least from my perspective. Now, when we go in and look at bills that are currently going through or have been passed, and we don't take action on them beforehand, we're not really getting our voices heard. So there is a little bit of lack of communication here when it comes to that. Not everyone knows when these things are happening. So what is a solution for us Washingtonians to be able to communicate more with our government? Especially when we feel like our government's not listening. We always have a method to email. We usually have a method to call and leave comments on like a comment line A lot of agencies do have that, I've noticed. Social media is a big one. I believe that all of our agencies, all of our governments pay attention to social media. I do believe that they see what the people say, but I don't think that they know how to explain it back to us the way that we need to hear it as far as transparency goes. So if we're saying online, hey, we're not pleased with this, why are you doing this? And we're only getting back something like what Bob Ferguson said in the last couple of days since he signed this bill. I hear your concerns, I see your concerns, and then nothing is going to be done about it because this is what we believe is needed. But if you're using money to give people raises and you're not making sure that the people are taken care of first, you're going to have problems. The people will not be happy about this. It's historically accurate. I can think of back in any given time when the people have risen up against any government, small or large, and they have felt that they've been mistreated. So when we do it, we're trying to do it in a way that is peaceful and can bring us results that we, the people, are good with, that we, the people, are acceptable, or that we, the people, accept and are willing to make a part of our state financial situation. So I encourage everyone to definitely get your voice heard out there. If you have to do it on social media, make sure you're tagging the governor, make sure you're tagging a congressman, somebody, if you're speaking directly to them, because it does help. I do believe that they see those. And it's a lot easier for us to communicate when we can create threads on a topic and have comments from all over the United States in just one thread. We can see where people stand everywhere. I really find value in social media this way. I'm not sure if anybody else does. So that is all I have for today. I do hope that more people will continue to contact our officials, our local government officials, as well as our federal congressmen and women. I know that they have a lot on their plates. They do a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they shouldn't be in contact with us on a regular basis. There's got to be a way that we can figure out these avenues. Communication is important. Transparency is important, and I think that we can all agree on that. So, with that, we're going to keep a watch on what Governor Ferguson is doing. We're going to keep a watch on what our Congress members are doing here in Washington State, and next week we're going to talk about a couple of other bills that Governor Ferguson has signed into law, and we're going to go into some specifics. So these things should be talked about, and that's why we're going to do this. Thank you for your time, and may our path lead to peace and prosperity.